What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Shoots with Coops, and today we're talking about printing, specifically inkjet printing. I just recently got myself a pretty good inkjet printer, and I've been making a lot of prints these days. I mean, me personally, you can see the enlarger in the background there. I am used to the darkroom, and I have made a lot of darkroom prints that you can see up on the wall, and I love the process. I love watching that image appear when you put it into the developer tray, and that in itself is something very, very special. But it's a completely different process, completely different way of making an image compared to inkjet printing. But I think printing in general is something that people are not doing a lot of these days. I think we're all guilty of that instant gratification of uploading to Instagram or Facebook and getting likes and comments, but the satisfaction you get when you see a print come out, and you can examine your work and hold, a physical object to view media on. It's completely different to staring at a digital screen. There is a massive disconnect between looking at an image on a mobile phone or a computer screen to actually holding a print in your hand and being able to, examine your work in fine detail, see the flaws, see where you did things really well, and everything comes together on that paper. So today I want to talk about inkjet printing specific, and I'm going to show you guys some of the paper I've been using, talk to you about the printer I bought, and show you some of my prints that I've made. So the printer I bought, guys, is an Epson XP-960. Now it's not a basic color printer. This printer does have 6 different inks in it. So it's a step up from your generic printer that usually has, they usually have 4. They usually have 1 black and then 3 color, whereas this has 1 black and 5 colors. So a little bit more better of a grade of print you're going to be getting with a printer like this. Now I did look at the Canon Pixma printers, the Pro 10, the Pro 1000. I've heard some really great things about those, and I've seen some really great videos and people prints they made with those. The reason I didn't is mostly price. I didn't want to get too heavily invested into a really expensive printer, but I did get this bad boy because I needed a new printer for work. I needed a color printer for work to be able to print out some color documents for my staff, things like that. And this printer, why I think it's actually such a great investment for any photographer is because this can completely replace any home printer you have. We do have just a normal printer. Essentially in this as well, it takes normal paper, it scans and copies, it does everything that a normal printer would, but then it also has a rear photo tray where you can feed up to A3 size paper, and it really does make some amazing prints. So the 2 papers I've been using, guys, when I bought the printer, I bought a pack of this Kodak premium photo paper. Now this is a high gloss paper. It's nothing special. For 50 sheets, I think it cost me about $16, so it is quite cheap. I just wanted to get some just some average, kind of meh paper just to do a few test prints on, because until you get, figure out how your printer works and you get your ICC profiles installed, and then, adjustments for color and the extra contrast you might need to do, you really don't want to waste any good photo paper. So I was using this Kodak premium photo paper. It's high gloss. I'm not a big fan of gloss. Really high glossy images, sometimes they can look good, but I was cutting these in half and making 6x4 test prints until I got the printer down packed. Then I went down to my local camera store and I bought, this is an amazing paper. Now this is Ilford Gallery grade paper, and it's a smooth pearl. So this paper is actually smooth pearl. Essentially it's kind of like a luster. This is in between a matte and a gloss. Now I really, really enjoy this because I do love shooting black and white film. I love my black and white images, and as great as I think matte prints do look, sometimes the glossy effect can just give that punching contrast to make things look a bit better. But then again, I should say on that, sometimes too much gloss can be a bit overpowering. So the smooth pearl from Ilford is like an in-between matte and gloss. So you still get a bit of that glossy sheen, but it's not overpowering. And this is an extremely high quality paper. I can't recommend this enough to people. I've almost gone through the whole pack. It wasn't cheap. 25 sheets was $28. But it's definitely a fantastic paper, and I've made some amazing prints with it so far. So before I start showing you guys some of the prints I've made, I want to talk about, obviously, the reasons why people don't print anymore. Back in the day, especially with film, everyone used to shoot their film, take it off to the chemist or the local lab, you'd get your negatives back, and you didn't get a USB or a CD back, you got a set of 4x6 prints or 5x6 prints. And that's how everyone viewed it. You know, at my mum and dad's house, I just went through some the other day, you know, stacks of 4x6 prints of when I was a kid, of us growing up, you know, when we used to muck around with disposable cameras, like all these memories, you know, just there to be viewed straight away, not on a computer screen or on a phone, you know, physical objects to be viewed. But these days, as you guys know, not many people really print their work anymore. I mean, there is those kiosk facilities available at, you know, most electronic stores or photo stores where, you know, you've got the Fuji or Kodak booth and you put your memory card or USB in, and it essentially does the same thing. You know, you upload the images and it prints you out your 5x7, 6x4 prints, or some of them even do up to 8x10s, I think, but not a lot of them. But even those print facilities are not being used so much. These days, it's all about sticking it up on the web for everyone to see, and the printing aspect of photography, I think, is becoming lost, especially with the younger generation. It's starting to be lost, and I think that's why film has become so popular with a lot of the younger generation, because having that, you know, the negatives to look at, instead of staring at things on a screen, having a physical object to look at really changes your whole perspective on, you know, how you view photography and images. Another reason why I think people aren't printing, guys, is because of the cost. I mean, if you go to a professional lab and you want to get a really nice print done on photo rag paper or, you know, some really premium photo paper, they can, depending on the size, they can start to get quite expensive. I mean, you can go from, you know, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks for a print, and that's just one print. So, you know, usually people, if they're getting things printed, it might only be one or two of their images, because it can get quite expensive. So I think instead of that, people are just not printing so much these days. I mean, outside of having a gallery viewing or putting on a show, no one's really printing anymore, and I just think it's really upsetting. I think like people are missing out on, you know, the last puzzle of, you know, of photography. Essentially, like with my darkroom, when I'd make my darkroom prints, for me that was the final piece of the puzzle for the film, for the whole, you know, the whole point of shooting film. I shot my film, I developed the rolls, and then I got in the darkroom and I made prints, and that entire whole step from start to finish is so satisfying, and it completely trumps any sort of social media glory and amount of likes you get. But people are not doing it. I think there's less and less facilities for people to be able to do it. That's why I think inkjet printing is a really good way. You don't need a dedicated darkroom. You don't need to go anywhere. You can do it all from the comfort of your home. But the alternative is you do kind of need a good printer to get good prints, which, you know, this Epson 960 has been a great investment. I have been extremely pleasantly surprised with the quality of prints I've been getting. So first print I want to show you guys, this was printed, this was shot with my M6 on Ilford FP4 of M and our two fur babies, M and Jasper and the Muffin. And, you know, this is a special photo to me. This is the sort of thing that I think people should be printing, you know, special memories, things that mean a lot to them, just so you've always got something to look at. You don't have to dig through your phone. The thing I love about this is, you know, one, punchy contrast. I mean, that paper really brings out those blacks of FP4 when you push it to 400 like I did here. But the grain, I can still see the grain. It's, you know, got that texture to it. It's a beautiful print. And the quality is just amazing. You know, for a reasonably budget-friendly inkjet printer, this printer only cost me 400 Australian dollars. So it is very cheap. It's, you know, as far as in the world of photo printers, it is very cheap. But the image quality is just fantastic. Likewise, you can see the difference here. This is a digital print that I took with my X Pro 2 in my water housing out on a, you know, little surf session trying to take some photos. Just amazing. Now this paper I found does have maybe a slight cooler tone to it, or a cooler tint to it, but I still find it quite pleasant to view, and you can see the difference from a film scan print to a digital print. Obviously I've got no grain here, but the quality and contrast is just amazing. Even panoramas, guys. Now this was a 5-shot panorama I shot 4 years ago now. This was in Yosemite National Park when I went there. This was a 5-shot stitched panorama of on the valley floor. You can see El Capitan and Yosemite Falls is back here, and then we have the big mountains and all the pine trees. You know, I absolutely love this image. And yeah, it just shows the kind of quality you can get from this printer. But the big thing I've been impressed with, guys, is the color on this. Now, as I said, this printer has, 6 different inks in it. It doesn't have, up to 10, which are, a lot of the, probably your intermediate color inkjet printers probably have about like 8 to 10 different inks in them, whereas this has 6. So, I thought, well, we'll wait and see what sort of, quality colors I can get out of this printer. And I was extremely surprised. The first color print that I got right, there was a couple of test prints that, I stuffed up, but the first color print I got, when that image came out of the printer, I just looked at it and said, holy shit. I was blown away. Now, this image here was shot with the Leica M10 when I had it. If you saw my last video, guys, when I got that camera for the test drive. And this is of my mum and dad's dog. This is our family dog, Sam. He's a German Shepherd. Now, this was actually shot as well with my favorite M-mount lens, my Minolta 40mm f2, which is permanently fixed to my M6. On the M10, and the color is just amazing. So this, and the thing that I was most impressed about is the print came out, I set up the ICC Profiles, which are very, very important. Before you start printing, guys, I can't stress enough, whatever paper manufacturer you've bought from, where it be, if it's Ilford, if it's Kodak, if it's Red River, go to the company's website, and in the support section there will be a download for an ICC profile. Make sure you install those to the Lightroom print module. So that way the printer and and Lightroom can communicate and give you accurate colors. But this photo of Sammy Dog, like the color reproduction was 100% spot on to what I was, what I edited and what I saw in my screen. This image was just, it blew me away. I couldn't get over the quality. I mean, it does obviously help having a really good photo paper, but the quality that this printer managed to put out. I took this photo around, I gave it to my mum because, I showed her the photo on my phone when I took it ages ago. She said, oh, can you make me a print of that? I love my Sammy Dog, blah, blah, blah. He's getting old now, he's 12 and a half. And I gave her the print, and the look on her face was just like, it was so special to see the look on my mum's face. She was just so happy with the print and the quality of it. She just looked at it and she was gobsmacked. And that in itself is one of the main things I think, reason why people should be printing. Like I showed my mum the photo on the phone, on my phone. I said, look at the photo I took. I pulled it up and showed her. She said, oh, that's a beautiful photo. But when I gave her the print and she physically looked at the print, she was speechless. She was gobsmacked. And that is the disconnect. That is the main reason why I think, people really should start printing more. Because when you have a physical object, like I said earlier, there's a disconnect between digital screens and a physical object. Two different ways, completely different ways of viewing media. There is something very special to be said when you're looking at a high quality print. So I've been so wrapped up and so excited with printing. I've almost gone through this whole box of paper already, and I'm going to have to buy some more because I definitely love the results I'm getting with this Ilford Smooth Pearl Gallery paper. So guys, I can't stress enough, how fantastic it is to print your work. And I hope this video, my whole point of this video was to try and inspire some of you or get some of you to, to start printing your work, to go out, either buy yourself an inkjet printer if you can afford one, or head to your local lab and get some quality prints made so you can really view your work in a completely different light. So also now that I finally have this printer, I should say, I am going to start selling some prints through Instagram or through my website. So if you guys who follow me on Instagram, if there's any prints that you have seen that you'd like a print of, get in contact. Otherwise, I'll be putting some up for sale soon, which you guys should be able to buy, and they won't be expensive, guys. They'll be 10 or 15 bucks a pop. They'll be quite cheap, just essentially to cover the costs. I don't want to make any money with them. I just want to cover the costs of the paper and the ink, and maybe give you guys a print that you can enjoy. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you go out and do some printing. As always, happy shooting, and I'll see you in the next episode.